All right, joining me now on the Knicks Film School Podcast. He is a famous person. He's at this point, he's probably too famous to be on the show.
God.
But he keeps coming on, I think, because he feels bad for the little people. But you know, he's just what can I say about him other than that he's a friend. He's someone that started out as a podcast guest and now he's a friend, but he is still the John Goodman of the Knicks Film School Podcast. So please give a hearty welcome to David Futternick.
John.
What?
I am not famous.
I thought you might say one. I'm not your friend.
yeah. That goes without saying. Yeah.
You're a big deal.
That reminds me of that like Marty Funkhauser line from Curb Your Enthusiasm when he says to Larry, like, if you weren't my best friend, I'd punch your face in right now. And Larry goes, what? You're not my best friend.
Well, we're off to a rousing start.
Yeah. It's great to be here. It's great to be a Knicks fan right now.
Do you have an opening monologue for us?
No. I'm always off the cuff. Come on.
I love it.
No, I don't. If anyone who listens to my NBA podcast knows that I don't prepare for anything. So
that's why we get along so well.
That's the best way to be. I mean, come on.
It is.
Speaking of, I feel like at any moment we could be interrupted by your wife going into labor. So this is very exciting for me. I was expecting to wake up this morning and get a text from you like, I'm at the hospital, but I'm still going to try to make this work.
So here's the question. Do I pack podcast equipment in the overnight bag?
I mean, is Dolores cool with that?
I think I just heard a laugh from the other room. I think it was
That's a yes. Yeah. So that's a yes.
Yeah, she'd be cool with it and that she'd throw it at my head if she knew that I did that. But so we should timestamp this, I guess. So we're actually recording on it is Monday at 3 p.m. So a couple days before you're hearing this at home. And part of the reason we are doing it early is because we want to make sure we get this podcast in. We'll get right into it. As of right now, the Knicks are a game above 500.
Nobody even close to them, below them.
It's
no
just
one close. No log jam.
It's a chasm.
Yeah, they're by themselves on an island in fourth place.
So when this pod drops, they will either have beaten the San Antonio Spurs to go 2 games above 500, or they will have lost to go back to 500. But then they got another game against Detroit, which, knock on wood, goes well. I kind of don't think it matters too much what happens against San Antonio, which is why I was like more than comfortable recording with you today. And here's where I want to start before we get into our fun little award ceremony that we're going to do in a few minutes. Are the Knicks good, David Futternick?
Yeah, I mean, the way you know that they are good is that you're hearing more and more national people who really don't like to give any props to the Knicks ever. Any New York teams really are talking very highly of them. You get the like, but their schedule in the second half is really hard, and they've played a lot of teams without their stars, or teams that are banged up. They won't be able to keep the defensive rating up, but you keep saying that, and they keep winning games. I mean, this team is I think becoming so beloved because they're such a throwback to the 90s. Yeah. Because they don't win games by shooting the lights out unless they, play teams like the Pistons. But they're winning games like that. The win against the Pacers over the weekend. Clawing their way to a victory.
How many times did you think they were going to blow that game? Because for me, I said it on this weekend's pod. I thought early on when they were down by 16, and then when they were down by 5 late after they had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter, I'm like, this is going to be the most depressing night. I don't need this right now in my life. And then didn't.
And RJ Barrett checked in. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize until I wrote the Monday newsletter. He had his hand in 11 straight points, all baskets, and then the assist to Randall.
That's why all the talk about the missed free throws, I didn't give a fuck about. I mean, obviously, would have been a better narrative if he had hit them because they were nice. Important free throws. Especially when Nerlens Noel hit his free throws. Like you hit your free throws, but coming in, hitting that three, getting the 3-point play, and then finding Randall in the corner for that three. I mean, all those plays, you completely changed the game.
Yeah, I agree. It was the most refreshing part of the weekend. It was among the most refreshing parts of the season, at least in like a small dose. There's some other things that are refreshing about the season. I don't know, man. Here's my worry. I wrote it today.
We're already on worries.
Well, no,
you asked me, are the Knicks good? Okay, this is okay. But here are my worries. You're a real fan. You're a real fan.
I'm a real New Yorker.
Yes.
As are you. It's like, I can't believe that I could sit here and actually have a conversation about, are the Knicks a good basketball team? Because maybe this is the thing we should preface this with. I only think there's like 8 to 10 good teams in the league at any given time. I don't think there's like 15 good teams and 15 bad teams. I think there's like 8 to 10 good ones, maybe 5 or 6 like bad ones, and then the rest is like in the juicy middle. And I feel like we're knocking on the door of good, but I can't. That's where I'm at right now because of the offense. Because I don't have any faith that the offense is going to be able to like consistently put together stretches where they're like, okay, if we need a bucket, we could get a bucket here, right. Other than Randall. That's my only reservation. But the fact that I could sit here and say that is insane. It's insane.
Yeah. You look at this roster. I cannot believe that they have a winning record. Cannot.
He's Gandalf. Thibodeau.
Yeah. He's Gandalf. He's going to run all of the hobbits into the ground by the end of the season. I mean,
well, they have big feet, so I don't know if that.
You're up. That's true. You're up 20 points against like one of the worst teams in basketball with 5 minutes left. Like, put Kevin Knox in. My God, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? If Randall had gotten hurt like in the last 3 minutes,
that's what I was thinking.
Oh my God.
That's what I was thinking.
Season over. Season over.
Yeah, that would have been.
And for what?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've been thinking about that today. I just think it's like, okay, I just thought of this analogy, I promise. If you have like a who's a really serious method actor that's known for like taking shit way too seriously all the time?
Sean Penn.
Okay. So if Sean Penn got called in to do an episode of, I don't want to offend anybody, what's a stupid fucking TV show?
Call Me Cat, just because they air those promos during NBA games constantly.
Call Me Cat. If Sean Penn got called out to do Call Me Cat, he's still going to go in there and he's going to Sean Penn the fuck out of whatever he has to do. Right. You can't turn that off.
Oh, I guess he was on Friends. He like had a little stint on Friends, so.
Man, the list of Friends guest stars between Brad Pitt and Clooney was, that was a good one.
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, a lot
Tom
of
Selleck.
Oh, I mean, but it wasn't a cameo.
That's true. That's recurring.
Tom Selleck. Yeah, recurring. Big deal. He should have just played himself on it. He should have just been Tom Selleck on the show. Yeah. We've gone off the rails as we usually do. Anyway. Sean Penn's going to go be Sean Penn, and I don't think you could take the Sean Penn out of Sean Penn, just like I don't think you could take the Tom Thibodeau out of Tom Thibodeau. And it's like he has this mindset of, I am going to do everything humanly possible to win. And look, there was 5 minutes left in the game. I think there was an 18-point lead. I'm sure he was looking at it. I was like, I could take these guys out, but 2 baskets, and all of a sudden it gets dicey. And then what do? I put him back in.
I mean, Derrick Rose checking back in for Quickly. Like, he just like... On a back-to-back, like...
He shouldn't be playing this many minutes, Derrick Rose.
No. I saw him... I noticed... I don't know if anyone else did, but I noticed when he first came out, whether it was in the first quarter or like beginning of the second quarter, it must have been the first quarter, he came out and quickly came in, and he looked like he was kind of limping. Like, he had the walk that I have after I go running. Like, that's... I was like,
is that not what you want?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to turn this into the knock Tibbs hour, but
look,
concerning.
I love him. I stand for him. I think he's the coach of the year right now.
He's got him and Quinn Snyder.
It's just them two. I was going through the league. I don't even know if there's anybody else who I would put in serious contention.
I think because the Jazz have been so incredibly good.
If the Jazz
he has to have a leg up.
If the Jazz go 55-17 and win the 1 seed by 4 or 5 games, I have to think what would the Knicks have to do for Tibbs to win they would have to finish probably with the top 4 seed.
Yes. Yeah.
Which
looking at the second half schedule.
Are you most worried about internal being the issue, or are you most worried about just teams like Miami and Toronto and maybe Boston doing what they do?
I don't think Boston and Miami and the Raptors are going to stay where they are. I mean, you already see the Heat kind of surging again now that they're healthy, or healthier. And Dragic will be back. I just don't. I mean, look, I didn't think that this Knicks team would be where they are at this point in the season, but I have the schedule is really hard, and I have a hard time believing that they're going to avoid the play-in. That's just my gut.
No, well, here's the only thing I'll say. I think Boston, not to talk about another team too much, but I think Boston's struggles are somewhat real. And if they don't make a fundamental alteration to their team, if they don't, get an injection of talent through the that trade exception they have, I could see it being close, but I agree with you. The odds are that you just want whatever, I guess the 7th seed or the 8th seed, or at that point. But no, I think that's fair. It's funny because I don't know if you feel this way. It feels like this is kind of snuck up on it. It still doesn't. It feels very recent. It doesn't feel real yet. It feels, I don't know. I feel like we were just in this stage of okay, the other shoe is going to drop and we're going to be a bottom 5 team. Okay, we're going to tank and it's going to be, going to get the 8th pick or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's holy shit, where are we in the East? It's,
which by the way, people are breaking my balls about the fact that next year's draft is so stacked, and that everyone's always looking for the angle to kill the Knicks about. So if the Knicks are playing well, then it's well, how can we jab them in another way? It's of course the Knicks are playing well, in another pandemic season with, not, now there are fans in the crowd, but a weird season with a great draft coming up. And of course they're going to squander, what could have been a really good lottery pick. It's I mean, how many times, how many 8th picks do we need to screw up before we just make the narrative that the Knicks are getting good now?
But
what's more important? I mean, honestly, we I hate to use the Nets as the blueprint, but what they did was really good. And look, if they don't win a championship in the next couple of years, they're probably pretty screwed. But look at the team that they were able to assemble now.
But that Harden deal,
star-driven league, and you need to start making the case for why stars should come.
Yeah,
I mean, and no team is going to win a chip because they built solely through the draft. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, I'm with you 100%. The Nets didn't have to give away all those picks. They could have stuck with what they had and the 2 big guys, and they would have been fine for years and years.
I mean,
the
future is out. It's out the window.
Yes, now it is.
The long term is finished,
which I'm happy about. Yes, because I'd rather they just get it over with already. Right. Yeah, no, I just, and I'm thinking about okay, so just look at the last couple games we played. We saw Josh Jackson, who's number 4 overall pick. Saw Marvin Bagley, number 2 overall pick. You could and I'm not just cherry picking, just literally go back any year and there'll be a 2nd pick, a 3rd pick, in some instances a 1st pick, a 4th pick, a 5th pick. It's it's not again. Yes, the odds increase, but then, when you look at just PJ Washington put up 42 as we're recording this last night for the Charlotte Hornets. That dude was, what was he?
Oh my God. The end of that game.
Oh my God. I actually felt bad for Kings fans watching that.
Oh my God.
That was bad.
Oh, rough.
Just
really,
a little bit.
Really rough.
But Tyrese Halliburton, the 11th pick, it's like you just, needless to say, Emmanuel Quickly, who I'm sure we're going to mention in a bit. You just have to be good at what you do with drafting and developing. And that's where the second first round pick comes in, right? Because who knows, maybe the Knicks would, if they had two choices in the top 15 instead of one, we would have Halliburton and top. Listen, you never know.
Yeah.
All right, you want to get into some awards?
Let's do it.
Before we do, did you watch the Golden Globes?
I did not. I was watching the game, which was on at the same time, and then didn't watch the recast, the West Coast feed. As I get older, especially being in the business, I'm just more and more bitter, and I don't like to watch the award shows as much, if I'm being honest. And they're I don't know if it's just because we're older and things just aren't as pristine, but I felt when we were younger, award shows were just much better produced and much the Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg era of award shows were just much better.
Crystal was the peak for me. It was the best. Nothing is Whoopi was good, but Crystal was
those. I mean, at least in my family, we lived for those the opening montages of him, pre-Photoshop, him superimposed in the best picture nominees and all that stuff. It was gold.
I still remember when they wheeled him out for the Silence of the Lambs bit with the full. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was awesome. But no, my wife wanted to watch it, so I spent most of the night watching the Knicks on my laptop, and then at a certain point, talk about how far the Knicks have come. She's like, put on the Knick game. I'd rather watch the Knick game than this crap. It's more interesting. I think they were up by 20 at that point. But so anyway, we're going to do
2021. Put on the Knick game.
2021. What a world.
Incredible.
So we're going to do the first annual Futty Awards. We're going to give out some very, very special awards to some Knicks for their performances in this basketball season. To qualify for a Futty Award, you had to just catch our eye. I don't know the qualifications.
Sounds a little creepy, but
we've I'm trying not to be creepy, especially coming off the last episode. Do you want to? I could go first. Do you want to go first? You tell me.
You go first.
Okay, I'll go. Okay, I am going to start off. I'm going to start off nice and light. I'm going to give out the Herb Williams Good Teammate Award to a guy that I want to retire a Knick, and I actually have had notions about trying to find his jersey, and that's Theo Pinson. I am convinced, more than Tibbs, more than Leon Rose, more than Julius Randle, the man responsible for the 2020-21 New York Knicks basketball season success is Theo Pinson. I love that dude.
Oh, he's fantastic. Fantastic.
I mean, just watch him on the bench the whole game.
Yeah. And you know what? Anytime other teams are celebrating like we do, I find it so obnoxious. But Theo Pinson he's just the best at it. He's the best at it.
Well, because it's real. I don't know if you notice, he doesn't sit. I don't even think he has his seat on the bench. I think they just gave away his seat. They probably gave it away to a fan or something. He's standing the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just I don't and God bless him for embracing that, because think about it. You've worked your whole life to get to this point, and it's I'm cool. I know what my job is. It's not to play basketball, even though I'm ostensibly.
He's I know. Even when we're up 20 against the Pistons, I'm not going to get in this game, and that's okay.
Right. Oh God, we love you, Theo Pinson. All right, you're up. Who do you want to give an award to?
I'm going to give the Anthony Mason Tough Guy Award to Nerlens Noel.
I love it.
He's been insane. I mean, he played 41 minutes against the Pacers, including Sabonis what looked kind of purposely like falling on his leg because out of frustration. And
those dirty. What country is he from? Before I insult the wrong country.
Is he Serbian?
No, I don't think he's Serbian. Is he? No, not Lithuanian. I'm gonna look it up. Whatever. Oh wait, Andrew's looking it up for us.
We're pissing off some Eastern European.
I'm gonna piss off somebody. I don't care.
He's Lithuanian.
Lithuanian. Dirty Lithuanians. Yeah.
I should know. His father was on that Lithuanian '92 Olympic team, right?
Oh yeah, because that was before he came over to the Blazers. Yeah.
So we should know that.
Bad job by us.
But yeah, Nerlens, man, like, look, what his skill set is different than Mitch's. He has rocks for hands. He's not giving you much on the offensive and besides like what felt like a million offensive rebounds last night against the Pistons.
Yeah, had a bunch.
But what he gives you on defense, my God, the guy gives you every ounce of himself. And I'm sure it was not easy for him to not know what his position on this team was going to be like when the season started.
It looked like he was out of the rotation for a hot second.
Yeah. He was playing quite badly. He looks comfortable now. He can actually set screens. I love you, Mitch, but Mitch is still, he's like a wet noodle.
I looked it up this morning. The the offensive rating with RJ and Noel on the floor is considerably higher than it is when he's out there with Mitch. Which it could be coincidence, but
yeah,
I don't know. Noel, like, he doesn't mind doing the dirty. I'm not to say that Mitch minds, but he doesn't do it as well as Noel. The dirty stuff.
And look, there's certain the athleticism of Mitch and a lot of things Mitch does. Nerlens will never be able to do, but. We're starting to get into territory where you're like, this is a guy that you should probably extend just to bring him back next year. Be Mitch's backup again. I mean, obviously a lot of stuff up in the air about what the roster is going to look like and if they're going to do anything at the trade deadline and whatnot. But he's a guy I at this point, I'm like, keep this guy on the Knicks.
So I'm happy you said that. He's not like 32. He's 26 years old. And can I give you a note? Because I was going to give him an award, but I'm going to give you the stat. Okay, here's the stat. You ready? He is currently averaging 3.4 blocks and 1.6 steals per 36 minutes. It is the second time in his career that he has accomplished this, because he accomplished it back in 2018-19 for Oklahoma City. There have only been 3 players in NBA history to pull off that same feat. What were the parameters I used? 3 blocks per 36 and 1.5 steals per 36. 3 guys have ever done it twice. About 20 something people I think have done it in total. 3 guys have done it twice. We're gonna play a little guessing game. 2, you're not gonna get the third one, but I think you get the first 2. They're pretty obvious.
Gobert.
No, think older. Think 90s.
Older.
90s.
Pat.
No, that's a good one. He didn't have the steals, I don't think.
Yeah, the steals.
Western Conference bigs.
Olajuwon
is one. He did it.
I think in the back of my mind, I didn't want to mention his name because he, broke my heart as a child.
Holy shit. He did it 8 times. He did it almost a third of the amount of times that this has ever been done.
God, he's
really good.
So good.
An Olajuwon rival.
Malone.
No, he didn't have the blocks. He probably had the steals though. Those postal workers are they've swipey hands.
Robinson?
Yes, Robinson, okay. and then the third guy, I could not believe this. Bo Outlaw pulled this off twice.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah, I know. Crazy. But Noel's on pace to do it for a second time. And he's 26 years old. He's making $6 million a year, or this year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent, but they'll have his limited bird rights. I don't know. Like that's the thing where, we keep talking about Mitch and extending him and giving him 10, 12, 13 plus $1 million a year. It's a dicey question if you got Noel coming in and doing this stuff.
Right. It's tough for Mitch, man, because out of sight, out of mind now. I feel like everybody starts, the chatter starts, the chatter starts.
He's having a really good year, though.
I know. God, poor fucking kid, man. When that game he got injured, he was...
No, he was tearing it up. It was the best game of his career. Not even close.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go up again. All right. So my next award, what do I want to give now? All right. This is a J.R. Smith Award for having just no conscience, giving zero fucks. And it's going to go to Emmanuel quickly. Did you know, David Futternick? Emmanuel Quickly is leading the Knicks in field goal attempts per 36 minutes. More than Julius Randle, who is an NBA All-Star. Emmanuel Quickly. And more than that, should I read off this entire list of it's not that long. Can I give you the only guys in the NBA who have played more than 500 minutes and are averaging more field goal attempts per 36 minutes?
Please.
I'll do it quick. Beal, Vucevic, Curry, Doncic, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Lillard, Jordan Clarkson, probable sixth man of the year, Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Giannis, D'Angelo Russell, Oladipo, Levine, LeBron, John Wall, he who shall not be named that plays in Dallas, Joel Embiid, Kawhi, Devin Booker, Kemba Walker, Russ, KD, Andre Drummond, De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, only outlier, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Ingram, Malcolm Brogdon, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, and then Anthony Edwards and John Morant. And then
I think the Brooks thing is because that team was so unhealthy,
decimated by injuries, and they needed somebody to take shots. And he's kind of a gunner. Yeah. But yeah,
besides Dylan Brooks, I've never heard of any of those guys. But I trust that was important, an important stat.
He just is coming in. He's absolutely firing away. When it's funny because now he's playing with Frank, who we've been watched. This is now our fourth year watching him, and the critique the whole time is like, be aggressive.
Can't get rid of the ball fast enough still, and yeah.
I love it though. We needed somebody like this, and that's why it's like someone asked me about him versus Halliburton after a game the other night, and I'm like, I think without making proclamations about who's going to have the better career and who's going to be the better player, I feel like Quickly was the guy this team needed right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about Halliburton, and look, I wanted him with.
Did you?
I did. I really, really did. I did not want Obi Toppin. And that was before we knew Julius Randle was going to play like this.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to. There's been enough Obi slander. I'm not going to slander Obi too much, but Halliburton's stroke is it's like Ball brother kind of stroke. Like it's not pretty to watch. No. So Quickly is I'd much rather see him shoot floaters, and the 3-point shot is just unbelievable. And especially, he has games where he forces it. Like last night, he was forcing it
a little bit. Yeah.
But man, you get flashes of what he's going to be like in the next 2 years or so.
I think we're getting there.
Exciting.
It's funny you say Ball brother, and you mentioned him. You mentioned Halliburton with Ball brother. I just looked up threes per 36 minutes. Emmanuel Quickly 8.6. The guy right ahead of him, Lonzo Ball 8.9. How you doing? Yeah, I love Emmanuel Quickly. All right, you're up. Who you got?
So these are off the cuff.
I love it. But that's, you're an improvisation master here.
Yeah. Oh yes. Jeez. I'm famous and I'm improvisational master. Okay.
I'm just I'm gassing you up.
Sure. I'm going to give the Jeff Van Gundy Biggest Grump Award, and this is we're New Yorkers. We love grumps.
We do.
Tom Thibodeau, just what an all-star grump. I mean,
I'm never happy. I'm never happy, David.
I love it. They were like, Breen was like, there are actually fans here at Little Caesars Arena too. All 5 of them were there last night.
Was he trying to insult Then with the friends and family comment.
Yeah. I think Clyde said something like, he was like,
it was Clyde. It was like, it's just friends and family.
Don't really hear many people in the crowd. But I loved it because you could hear Tibbs screaming at them with like 3 minutes left on the broadcast. Like, oh, what a just absolute angry, perfect New Yorker. By the way, he's actually from right outside of Hartford, where I grew up. So yeah, from New Britain. So we're very grumpy people around those parts. So
you have good pizza. Why would you be grumpy?
That's true.
You have no reason to be grumpy. Yeah, like water. You know, you got the water right there.
You know what? Because we're a little too close to Boston. I think that's the problem.
Who are the most miserable people on the Northeast? I mean, New Yorkers, we get some good miserable, sometimes, but Connecticut.
I don't know, like people in New Hampshire, maybe because they're so forgotten.
Probably
Rhode Island.
I like Rhode Island. Rhode Island's a happy place.
Yeah, but also their accents are like Boston on crack too. You're like, Calamari. I'm like, whoa. Get me out of this state, which will only take me about 5 minutes to get out of this state. So get me out of here.
But I'm just thinking, my wife had never seen Mystic Pizza. We watched it a few weeks ago.
Good movie. Is a great movie. Great movie.
Very enjoyable. Okay, off the rails yet again. We're gonna come back on. Oh, that was the other Dolores story I want to tell. I pointed the Tibbs yelling out to her when we were watching, and she's like, "What's he saying? I can't understand anything he's saying." I'm like, "That's not the point. You're not supposed to understand what he's saying."
Right.
He's yelling at grown men like they're children playing a CYO game or something. It's fantastic.
Love it.
Okay, let's give out one more. I won't make you do any more off the cuff. No, I want to give out a quick aside one, and then I'm going to give out my main one. My quick one is the Kurt Thomas Old Man River Award, which is going to Taj Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
35 years young. Love it. Oldest guy on the team by 3 years now that Derrick Rose is here. Did you know Kurt Thomas started 17 games for the 2012-13 Knicks at the age of 40?
I do not remember that.
I don't either, but he did. I looked it up today.
I do not associate him with a team in that year, a team that recent.
Well, he was on there and he played, meaningful minutes. He averaged 2.5 points per game that season, but he was here. But yeah,
I love Kurt Thomas.
I think of every former player other than, I guess, like Ewing, any former Knick. I think there's a part of me that I would want to talk to Kurt as much as anyone. Who would you want to do on a podcast? Former players. Is there anybody that stands out?
Yeah, because he went to my high school, and he's a Hartford High legend on top of being a Knicks legend. But Marcus Camby.
Oh,
that's my dude.
That'd be fun.
I was like oh God, when he came over, I was like 12, 13 years old, and I was over the moon.
The first time when it was the
first time. Yeah, we don't need to talk about his.
Hey, he was on that team. He was on the 2012-13 team. So but
that was weird.
It was a little weird. He was getting them checks.
That's up there with Kurt Thomas being on the 2012 team.
Yeah, except Kurt Thomas started 17 games. I don't know how many minutes. Let's see. What did Marcus Camby? Wow, Marcus Camby started 4 games for that team.
There you go.
When did that happen?
Memorable minutes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, but no. The first trade was the. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to get this wrong. Was that the Oakley trade? That was the Oakley trade. Yeah, it was the Oakley trade. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Those were good. Do you remember? Of course you remember. But the conference finals when afterwards Larry Bird was like Camby was the best player in the series. Maybe a top 5 moment. Oh, it was just
to fuck over Indiana and Boston in one go. Oh, fantastic!
Because our best player Patrick Ewing was still, more or less he had the rep of the best player, and he dropped, and the guy that took his place more or less was like the best player in the series. Oh God, awesome stuff. Come back, Marcus Camby. We could still pay you. We'll pay you, be an assistant coach or something. no, but my real last award is, speaking of Ewing, my Patrick Ewing How You Like Me Now award, which is going to go to Julius Randle. I'm going to explain this one. Okay. Somebody asked me, Johnny Caps on Twitter, asked me a week or two ago. He's like, has anyone ever like fallen out of favor with Knicks fans and had a better comeback than Julius Randle? And I looked, I tried to, like, no one came close. And the only guy that I could think of is Ewing. But the falling out of favor, he never really fell out of favor because people loved him. But by the end, I feel like the fan base was kind of ready to move on. And ever since, some within the fan base, not all the fan base, some within the fan base ready to move on. And then since he's been gone, all I do is look back on those years and I'm like, my God, how good we had it. Oh. So, but Julius is doing that as an actual player still. And it's just, unbelievable.
Fun I cannot stuff. Believe it. I would, I mean, I was one of the many people who wanted him gone as fast as possible. And now it feels ridiculous that we ever thought that. I mean, I feel like even like a few weeks ago, there was like a lot of conversations still happening about like, well, should we sell him high now? And all, I feel like even that's dying down because it's pretty obvious now that we have a huge piece for the future.
Can you trade him right now? Like, I don't mean like literally, can you trade him? I'm like, can you?
There would be a revolt.
I don't know. And again, this is not a new topic. I've touched on this on the podcast, several times. But
there's no way you could possibly get a return that would make enough sense to even do it. I mean, like the teams that would be interested in getting him don't have enough to give us, and the teams that have enough to give us wouldn't do it either. So it's just like there's no reason to even have the conversation. This is our guy right now, and hopefully this is one of our guys in the future. So I mean, wow, I cannot believe that we are above 500.
I was about to say, what's the most surprising
all-star? Like, my God.
Not only is he all-star, he's an all-star that we're sitting here and be like, you can't trade Julius Randle. Like, right. We're not taking calls. Don't pick up the red courtesy phone.
Don't look at my tweets from November.
Oh my gosh. We're in the midst of it now, and it's like I'm almost afraid to think about where the season's going to go because it feels like this could be one of those. And I say this not thinking that they're going to do anything this year, but it still feels like this could be like kind of one of those magical years that you get as a sports fan every now and then where it's like, hey, remember that plucky, team that, did this or that. Mm-hmm. And it feels like we're in the midst of it. And I don't know.
This is more, I mean, maybe it's revisionist history, but this is more fun to me than the 2013 season was. I was also not a big Melo guy personally. I had more fun watching J.R. Smith on that team than I did Melo.
Love J.R.
I know Melo's one of the greatest shooters ever, fantastic offensive player. It just never really clicked for me. And I know that there is a wave of younger fans than us, and Melo is their guy. And I understand why. He was the star player. But to me, this is more fun than that season was so far. And maybe that's somewhere between a lukewarm and a hot take. I don't think it's such a hot take, especially for guys of our age.
No, I was about to say it's not a hot take if you actually sat and experienced both, because that season was so strange. Because they started with that opening night blowout of Miami, who was the defending world champs. Mm-hmm. And then it was, before you knew it, it was 6-0. They were the last undefeated team in the league. And it's like, oh, holy shit. And there was like where we are right now, where we're like, are the Knicks good? The Knicks are good, right? I think the Knicks are good. How good are we? There was none of that. It was within a week and a half, essentially, or 2 weeks. It was like, oh, okay. So the Knicks are one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the league. And that's just how it is. Mm-hmm. And then the whole year was kind of just riding that wave, even though it was weird. Like, aside from, like, they started hot and they finished hot, and then for like the middle portion of the season, they were essentially a 500 team. So it was kind of a funky season like that too. Mm-hmm. And then there were the expectations. which were tough because, and they reared their head in the playoffs, and obviously, you know,
I wanted to play that Heat team so bad, man. I wanted to get to the conference finals so bad.
See, that doesn't eat at me because I think they would have
Roy
lost.
Hibbert.
I mean, it sucked losing to the Pacers, obviously, but does that really eat it? It does. You're as old as me, almost. I think that doesn't eat at you like some of the '90s things eat. Like the '90s shit will eat at me until the day I die. The 2012-13 season does not eat at me because I don't think they would have beaten LeBron.
Game 7 in '94 will never, like, there'll never be a more devastating sporting event ever.
Why do you have to?
Cried.
I didn't name specifics. I just was. I generally had to go do that.
Well, there were 2 finals in our generation. One of them we didn't expect to even be there, so it was like house money. '94 should have won, and that will always just kill me. So, you know, sport also, I find for me, like, sports mattered so much more when I was a child. That's why, you know, my friends who are Bulls fans that bitch and moan now that the Bulls have been so bad for so long. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, you know, you get to root for Michael Jordan when you were a child. Like, there's nothing better than that. I mean,
you won the sports fan lot. It's like, if you get to do that, yeah, you won the sports fan lottery.
I'm a Yankees fan. I will never complain about a goddamn thing to, you know, Claudio's got his Mets hat on. I will never complain to my relatives who are Mets fans because I have nothing to stand on. Nothing to stand on. I got to root for Derek Jeter, you know, when I was a child. Like, that's awesome. Awesome. So no, 2013 will never, you know, keep me up at night. Like the '90s, you know, like the Reggie 8 points and, you know, shit like that. That stuff will always be harder because things mattered more back then.
It did. But then again, I'm sure there's some 22-year-old kid listening to this right now, 23-year-old, you know, I shouldn't call them a kid, whatever. 22, 23-year-old person right now. How old is Chris Persian? I think he's like 19 now, 18, whatever he is. Listening to this and is like, no, that was the most devastating thing ever. How dare you belittle my childhood? Fuck off, David.
Right.
Futter.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I told him this, but when I was his age, he was born. So.
Oh my God. I just put 2 and 2 together. Wow.
If that doesn't make you feel fucking old. So you know what? If 2013 was the excruciating part of his childhood, fuck you, Chris.
Well, look,
you still have your youth, okay?
Here's my hope. I feel like like we are huge NBA fans. Obviously, I'll give you the plug ahead of time, even though I'm going to make you do it again. Super Hoopers podcast. You guys talk about the NBA, and you follow this sport as closely as I do, and you know when you're seeing the rise of a team that's going to be around for a while, and like when you get that first season, right, as it's happening, and you're like, oh shoot, this is a thing now. This is happening, and if Leon Rose can like really has this ship headed in the right direction, we're in the midst of that season right now. And so, yeah, no, we should enjoy the absolute hell out of this. I have no issue with you saying it's more special than 2012-13 for that reason in particular.
Yeah, because it feels like something is actually being built.
Yeah.
You know, we're on our way.
I hope so.
On our way faster than I think any of us could have expected. So
you know what's going to be great when this podcast drops and they lost by 45 to the Spurs. It's
oh God, yeah, it's gonna happen.
We just blame us. That's fine.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. This has been a lot of fun. I have to go cook dinner for my still pregnant wife. I don't think she's given birth in the last hour. Can't be sure. Never know. But before I do, David Futternick, can you please let folks know at home all of the places that they could find you, see you, hear you, experience your aura? if you will.
Oh. Well, you can experience my aura at the Stone Store on 13th Street and First Ave. I'm often there. Stones, crystals. We have some really beautiful stuff, beautiful items coming in. When I'm not there, you can find me at David Futernick on Twitter and Instagram, at the Super Hoopers on Twitter and Instagram. We are an NBA comedy podcast. Don't come to us for your analytics because we don't talk about them. And also for Sopranos fans, you can find me at O Sopranos Pod. We are going episode by episode covering the show, The Sopranos from HBO, starring
First of
James
all-
Gandolfini. And we're in season 4 right now. And it's been a delight.
That was a week.
John was on. I was on.
It was a lot of fun. I didn't want the episode to end. That was a week. Oh, there it is. And of course, look for David Futternick on a television screen near you. Just don't look at MSG's commercials.
Yeah.
After
Do
dark.
not look up a show called Rivals on MSG that I may or may not have been on because it's a bad look for me. I'll put it that way. It's a bad look.
That's impossible. When you were saying that we're not an analytics podcast for Super Hoopers, I realized we didn't mention the Nate Duncan tweet from the other night.
It was so bad that I have issues with the Dunk Dunk guys, and a lot of our brand on Super Hoopers is ragging on what we call smart guy NBA. People taking all the joy out of a game of a ball being put in a hoop, but he got dragged so fucking bad that I did start to feel a little bad. Like when you have like Bleacher Report guys like making videos, like edited videos about why you need to like go away. I mean, that's a little excessive.
when David Futternick is saying that it's excessive, it's excessive.
That's how you know.
Yeah,
because I know excessive.
You know,
judging from my live tweets during Knicks games, I know excessive. Okay.
Some that may or may not have to do with the film Uncut Gems. Yes,
that's right.
I do know that you know. All right, this was awesome. Go follow. If you're not, what?
Let me just say, Mazel Tov in the future. Incredible. Your second child. I was a second child, and I mean, second children are, I think, often just much more of a delight. I don't know your daughter. She seems lovely.
She's overrated already.
She's overrated. And you know what? This child is going to be just much better. I can already feel it. Second child is better always.
I'm really happy to hear you say that.
Can I also say,
yes.
Are you like the like Popovich of like Knicks podcastum? Because I think about so you groomed Jeremy Cohen, and now he is, he's a fantastic podcaster in his own right. I listened to the pod he did with Schwinny. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then now you have Chris Persianen, your latest, student, and now he's really taking off. So you're the kingmaker.
I'm
podcast kingmaker.
What are you doing to me here? I am a guy that had extra space in his laundry room, and now I talk about basketball in it. That is what I am.
And you do it very well.
You stop it. Okay, we're cutting you off. That's it. You're done.
Always a pleasure, John. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. Go follow David if you're not already for some odd reason. He's a great follow, great podcaster in his own right, great actor, great everything. And he's a great friend.